As you all mentioned, it's important to turn uncertainty certain. And I would like to invite Mr. Michael Jordan, 2020 IEE.
Michael Jordan from the University of California, Berkeley. I'm very pleased to be joining you and participating in the Inclusion FinTech Conference. So first of all, I would like to make a few remarks about continuous intelligence. We know that intelligence is based on data and it's based on learning algorithms. I'd like to add one more ingredient. That is the word relevance. If you're going to have continuous learning in systems that are in existence for a long, continuous period of time, then it's important to know which data is relevant to any given inference or decision that you're making at any given time. Data from the past may or may not be relevant. Things may have changed. So if we think back historically about the mechanisms that we have to tie us to the past, there's the idea of a ledger, which is a record of transactions. There's also the idea of provenance, which is a record of linkages that help us to reconstruct the past and achieve continuity with the past. Building on those concepts, we have a notion of relevance, which has to do with whether data from the past is still relevant to a current decision. Things may have changed or they may not have changed. The system has got to assess that. It needs to be able to assess whether data is still relevant and still should be used, or whether it should fade away into the past and not be used. So data and decisions can age and they become less relevant over time. So for example, in fraud detection, it might be that data from 5 or 10 years ago is no longer relevant to the current situation. This may be true also for lending decisions, which may age, and also lifestyle management as people's lifestyles change. So to make predictions, we need to have past data available for sure, but we only need to focus on relevant past data. And it's not clear how to figure out which is the relevant data. That is part of the learning problem. Part of the problem of inference is deciding how to annotate data from the relevance perspective. So doing this is going to be a collaboration of machine learning, database, and ideas from economics, where relevance is also an important concept. The second part of my presentation, I'd like to say something about secure collaborative intelligence. This is a very challenging topic. The notions of secure and collaborative are like oil and water. It is difficult to mix them. Collaboration means revealing something, whereas security means not revealing something. Let us be concrete. Consider multiple entities that are involved in a financial activity, such as fraud detection. They may wish to collaborate by exchanging data. Ideally, they'd only transmit limited data to each other. But it's difficult to do that. It's difficult to characterize information and data, and difficult to limit an adversary from putting other data together with the data that's transmitted to learn hidden information. One approach to these problems is cryptographic, using ideas such as homomorphic encryption, which make it possible to conduct data analysis on encrypted data. But even in this case, information may leak, as the consequences of a data analysis may reveal things about the source of the data, or the lack of consequences might reveal things about the source of the data. Another way to think about it is that collaboration involves risk. If you collaborate, you have a chance of losing something, but you may gain something as well. You may therefore want to control this risk and manage it. For example, in the fraud detection setting, you may want to add noise to your data before you share it. There are mechanisms such as differential privacy that allow you to add limited amounts of noise so the data is still useful, but you protected some of your risk from collaboration, your privacy risk. We need to quantify in general notions of risk as we share things with other possibly adversarial actors, and we need to be able to trade that notion of risk off against the gains we may realize from some sort of sharing. In fraud detection, it clearly is to our advantage to share data because we'll all do better in terms of fraud detection, but in a competitive setting, the adversary may wish to gain more information than we are attempting to give them. Or it may be the case that they also gain a lot from fraud detection, more than we're willing to tolerate in a competitive environment. Overall, these are difficult problems, and we need ideas from differential privacy, statistics, cryptography, and again, economics to quantify and trade off various notions of collaboration risk. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. 所以通过 Michael Jordan 先生的介绍，我们可以看到金融科技未来会向着更加智能化的方向来发展、来进化和迭代。那么接下来，请出英国伦敦金融城市长 William Russell 先生来看金融科技对于城市发展之间的关系。请看。
Hello all, I am William Russell, the 692nd Lord Mayor of the City of London. Yes, the City of London has been around for a long time. And over the centuries, innovation has been at the heart of what has made London and the UK an enduring global trading and financial centre. It's a real pleasure to join the Inclusion FinTech Conference today to share with you some views from London through the power of technology. Thank you to Ant Group for the invitation. Of course, during the pandemic, we have relied more on technology than ever before. Indeed, fintech has been an incredible constant throughout this time. And I believe that the best and brightest UK fintech companies will come out stronger than ever, with new partnerships and new ways of operating. We are already seeing this happening. Now, more than ever, fintechs and traditional banks are collaborating. This crisis has accelerated the need for better access to money management, credit, and improved technology models. So traditional institutions are partnering with tech-savvy fintechs quicker than ever to modernise faster. There is also rapid digitisation of services across the country, backed by funding from investors. Some startups are grasping the moment, launching new products which include AI, automation, and digital ID services. And there are more investors willing to champion these young fintech companies. Lastly, we have seen a rise in community-focused initiatives. Many UK startups have been offering free services, waiving fees, and making donations to support society. For instance, Starling Bank has introduced second cards for customers who are vulnerable or self-isolating, so that friends or family can make payments on their behalf. At the City of London Corporation, we are committed to supporting this vital industry, as well as encouraging the fintech industry in the UK to continue to innovate. We are currently leading an independent review of the UK fintech industry, working alongside HM Treasury and Innovate Finance.
It will establish priority areas for industry, policymakers, and regulators to explore in order to support the ongoing success of the UK fintech sector. We have also teamed up with the Financial Conduct Authority, known as the FCA, to create a digital sandbox inspired by the challenges posed by COVID-19. It will create a digital testing environment which will give startups and large financial institutions access to specific data sets. These can be used for validating new technology solutions which help with the country's recovery. Part of the UK's appeal to fintech companies is its collaborative approach to regulation with businesses in the sector. Initiatives like the Regulatory Sandbox and Digital Sandbox help businesses introduce and test new financial projects and distribution methods. This support is also offered to overseas innovative firms to help facilitate their entry to the UK. I know many of the Chinese firms here today have the ambition and scale to expand into the international markets. And as London is the world's most international and connected financial centre, we will provide you with unrivaled access to the global markets the best in global talent, and a robust investment pipeline. The City of London Corporation has many friends around the world, and Shanghai has been one of the strongest collaborators, especially in investment management, capital market connectivity, fintech, among others. All these collaborations are backed up by an MOU we have established with Shanghai municipal government over a decade ago. Every year, I visit Shanghai 2 to 3 times with a business delegation to foster a stronger partnership with financial services community in the UK and in Shanghai. Though the pandemic has not allowed me to visit Shanghai this year, we have had a series of virtual programs, including a visit to China in June. I hope to visit Shanghai again very soon when travel can resume. The UK is a financial technology innovator, right from the very start, and I am excited about what is coming next, and of course, the prospect of working with you. Thank you very much, and best wishes for a great conference.
And thank you very much. 通过 William Russell 先生的介绍，我们可以看到，通过金融科技的发展，的确让生活在这个城市当中的人们享受更加高效、便捷和美好的生活方式。那么，现在我们讨论了很多未来前沿的东西，讨论我们未来的美好生活的图景。可是，如果我们把时间拉回到10几年以前，那个时候，金融和科技似乎还是两个词。我们看一段短片，这段短片从来没有公开发布过。
Here I would like to present to you a video clip.
金融业的互联网化一定是主流，真正应用到通过互联网能够解决一系列的金融问题。
就是我们要做的是真正的是微贷款，这才是你们的使命和说我们这帮人就是 fight for this。
直升飞机不是飞机，他们两个大家觉得像了，就是都离开了地面。直升飞机是比飞啊谁飞得低，就是你飞到刚刚可以比树高一点点。这是直升飞机最难设计的，没有一架直升飞机设计是要比谁飞得高。
也就是10万嘛。
啊，
也就是10万嘛。
今天如果是把这件事情做透了，就贷20万人民币的额给中小企业，是我们这帮人疯一样的梦想和使命的时候你一定能想出，只有这样你们才有可能出现一个将来超越淘宝、早有支付。
这是一段2009年的内部会议，一群人疯了一样的要把这件事情做透了，朝这两个词用的力度。如今我们今天现场把当时内部会议当中的人，演员就是他们本人，剧本就是他们的故事，他们的故事变成了今天的现实。请出中国工程院院士王坚博士、蚂蚁集团 CEO 胡晓明先生走上舞台，来为我们讲讲当年的那一场内部会议。
Simon Hu, CEO of Ant Group, and they were at the internal meeting back in 2009.
$11年
It has been 11 years.
09年那个内部会议，当时
The internal meeting in 2009must be very inspirational.
怎么就把当年那么一个激情澎湃的想法做成了今天人们身边触手可及的生活了呢？给我们讲讲背后的故事。
Ubiquitous services offered by Ant today.
您先请。
其实那个
As a matter of fact,
这个按照时间来看，11年前。
If you look at the timeline, it was 11 years ago, and there are 2 people who have been the forward-looking, forward momentum driver. The first person is definitely Jack Ma, making it easy to do business anywhere, Taobao, Tmall, Ant, Cainiao, and so on and so forth, we all follow the same mission. We hope that technology innovation can empower small and micro businesses, farmers, underprivileged people, underserved people who can have access to financial resources. This is about connecting financial resources with people who don't have access to them. And the second important person is Dr. Wang Jian. He said, helicopter is not a plane. You didn't see the rest of the story. I got scolded at that meeting because I joined Alipay from a banking background. Mr. Xi from CITIC is with us today, and he would understand this. At a bank, if I could issue a loan of 1 million, 2 billion, when I was with the China Construction Bank, 5 million would be the highest. And Dr. Wang Jian said, helicopter is not a plane. And I couldn't figure out what is helicopter is really about. The point is really about making financial services available consistently to small and micro businesses. Wow, you came from a big bank, very different vibe. And in the meeting, you were talking about one loan of 100,000, 200,000. A helicopter is about who can go low instead of going extremely high. So how is this helicopter journey going? Yes, indeed. In the past 10 years, many things have taken place in an incredible way. In China today, so many things can happen on your mobile phone, which is totally unimaginable. And I think helicopter is not a plane is probably the first time for many people to hear. Let me explain what it means. Helicopter, there's no helicopter plane. It's called a helicopter. Why is it different? Because a helicopter and a plane have two different missions. Alipay, from the first day, was positioned as an entity with different mission from banks. We have different mission compared to traditional banks. And then technology we're using is also different. Why helicopter is not a plane? Because its power system is totally different. Although both helicopters and plane go in the air, they are powered by different engines and different technology. So fintech is not just about adding a technology piece to traditional financial services. Instead, it's a totally new ecosystem. At that meeting, I also said, do you know that helicopter squad is with the army, not the Air Force? And the reason is that many technology challenges can only be solved with a clear use case as well as clear definition of information and data. I think a lot of people use certain concepts without clear definition of terms. For example, computing, high efficiency computing, these are different things. Data, information, these are different things. Artificial intelligence, machine intelligence, these are different things. So when we are not entirely clear about definition of many terms, many scopes, we might miss out many opportunities. Well, I think your point is about having clear definition of new concepts, new ideas. We know your mission is making it easy to do business anywhere. And this is a very exciting mission. But for average people, it will be hard for them to understand these technologies, cloud computing, big data, blockchain, and so on and so forth. How can you make cutting-edge technology relevant to average people? For Ant Group, we have Alipay, and we have many other services, and we are offering more extensive services beyond payments by improving financial efficiency. We are making financial services available to more people. In the meantime, we're also digitizing the service sector in order to solve employment issue. But the service sector has a big role to play. And digitization is very important. If you look at Bailian, Walmart, RT Mart, they all have their IT infrastructure. They're also talking about artificial intelligence. They have their data expert, AI experts. However, if you look at mom and pop shops, noodle shops, vegetable stalls in the wet markets, how can these small players enjoy the benefit of digitalization? They shouldn't be left behind. Therefore, for Ant Group, when it comes to cloud computing, database technology, blockchain technology, we should integrate them as one solution through our IoT capability and Alipay app. They can be delivered as a product, as a solution to these SMBs, so they can manage their customers. People will come back and keep buying from them when a vegetable seller has new products, fresh vegetables. Consumers will know it, and they can also have access to lending. Well, if you look at traditional banking, putting your fingerprint on the approval document is actually very scary. But today, through data technology, SMBs can have easy access to lending. Even a beggar can have access to lending. Everyone should be respected, and technology can make that happen. So, you were talking about the last mile capability and what kind of specific issues is technology trying to resolve? And I don't understand what empowerment really means, because for average people, maybe it's very difficult to understand how technology could empower these services. Well, yes, indeed. A few years ago, when we started Alipay, and there were a lot of people talking about market share, I don't think that's the point. Alipay is about opening a new era. Without Alipay, this new era wouldn't have happened. And market share would only be relevant when you have a solid market. China needs technology to open another new era. And how is this new era different from before? Today, many people talk about the internet technology. I think I think today people can focus on precision technology. As Simon said just now, now the key is about inclusion. And it took me many years to truly understand what inclusion means. In my own words, inclusion is moving beyond precision. Today's technology is about precision, but going forward, it's about no one is being left behind. So precision is about picking 1 out of 100. No one being left behind is about 100 people all being served. SMB lending, consumer lending, is all about ensuring inclusion. There's a number being mentioned. 3.6 billion people are not connected to the internet. I was very shocked. They're not online. What does it mean? Internet infrastructure is ubiquitous. However, still a lot of people don't have access to internet services. Therefore, we have to move beyond the precision stage into inclusion stage, using minimal social resources to deliver maximum services to be inclusive, and that's my understanding of inclusion.
Innovation at the cutting edge of technology, of course, cannot be isolated from real-world use cases. Everything has to be driven by real demand, and that's why we've seen this tremendous growth with awareness, with use cases in different industry verticals. You need all of that. So fintech is no longer an abstract concept, a remote, distant prospect, but it's already become an important driver of transformation in industry. So having said that, let's look forward to the next 10 years, the decade to come. All of this convenience at our fingertips, it's just getting started, isn't it? Where are things headed, Simon? Well, talking about fintech and the future relationship of technology with finance, it's not about making us stronger. Chinese banks generally around the world are already large enough and strong enough. But have they addressed the issue of equity? Have they created a level playing field for all? Have they achieved financial inclusion? What the future should be about is extending convenient financial services to everybody, common people in society, the poor, the underserved, the unserved, making finance more universal, more inclusive across a broader range. And if a day comes when finance can truly become universalized, it will have been driven by us working in technology, those of us working in the application of finance and technology, and that will be our proudest achievement. Well, if you ask me, prognosticating is difficult. People always tend to underestimate the extent of change that can occur in a decade. But I will say this. Technology goes far beyond finance in terms of its applications and its impacts. Some have speculated that technology may result in a reallocation of wealth. But I think connecting technology with finance may result in a larger reallocation of resources around the world. Coming back to Eric's little anecdote about the coffee, I think that's a microcosm of what we could expect to see in the future, a reallocation of resources in the world, making the world itself, resources in the world, more equitable. So it's not just wealth, it's resources that will be reallocated. Our past technologies resulted in an inequitable allocation of resources, but in the future, technology may well be able to make that allocation of resources in the world more equitable, filling in gaps, the things we're missing in our lives today, and it's not just finance. Yeah, so we looked at that video clip from an internal meeting 10 years ago where you said, we're not going to be a bank, we don't want to be a bank, we want to enable loans, small loans, credit-based loans being extended to SMBs. We're committed to that course. We're going to do difficult but meaningful things. And looking at the last 10 years, how far ACT has come, it's been very successful, and it's because you're a group of people in ACT who are talented and committed to that vision. Step by step, you have walked that path, created your own way forward, and have made that dream a reality, extending inclusive finance to hundreds of millions of people, billions of people, and we wish you all the best as you move forward in that journey. Thank you.